The experiment took place in a quiet laboratory. Not a prison. Not a hospital ward. Just a clean room. Fluorescent lights. A desk. A machine with switches. There were no threats. No shouting. No violence. Just a man in a lab coat and a set of instructions. Participants were told they were assisting in a study on learning and memory. They were not told it was about obedience. They were not told it was about morality. They were told it was about helping science. Their role sounded simple. They would read pairs of words to another participant in the next room. When a mistake was made, they were instructed to administer an electric shock. The shocks increased in intensity with each mistake. The machine in front of them looked official, labeled, organized, precise. At first, the voltage seemed harmless, a mild shock, uncomfortable but survivable. Nothing serious, but as the experiment progressed, the labels on the switches changed. Strong shock. Very strong shock. Intense shock. Eventually, danger, severe shock. The switches did not look different, only the words changed. Behind a wall, the person receiving the shocks began to react. At first, there were complaints, then protests. They said the shocks hurt. They said they wanted to stop. They said they had a heart condition. The voice sounded real, because it was. Many participants hesitated. Some laughed nervously, unsure how to respond. Some turned in their chair. Some asked if they should continue. When they looked to the man in the lab coat, he did not raise his voice. He did not threaten them. He simply said, "Please continue." If they resisted, he said, "The experiment requires that you go on." If they still hesitated, "It is absolutely essential that you continue." And finally, "You have no other choice. You must go on." At a certain point, the voice behind the wall stopped responding. No more protests. No more complaints. Just silence. Many participants asked what the silence meant. They were told to treat it as an incorrect answer and continue. Some participants protested more strongly now. They said they didn't want to be responsible. The man in the lab coat responded calmly. He told them the responsibility was his. And for many people, that was enough. Over 60% of participants continued administering shocks, all the way to the highest level. These were not sadists. They were not trained soldiers. They were not selected for aggression. They were ordinary people. Teachers, clerks, parents, people who described themselves as kind. After the experiment ended, many participants were visibly shaken. Some laughed uncontrollably. Some cried. Some covered their faces. Many insisted they were not responsible for what happened. They had been told what to do. And that, somehow, felt like a complete explanation. What makes this experiment unsettling isn't the setup. It's not the machine. It's not the lab coat. It's the realization that obedience doesn't require force. No one was tied down. No one was threatened. It only required structure, a system, clear steps, an authority figure who appeared confident. And most importantly, the removal of personal responsibility. At no point were participants told they were evil. They were told they were helpful. They were not asked to hurt someone. They were asked to continue a process. The experiment was later criticized heavily for its ethics. Participants were deceived. They experienced real distress. Some carried guilt for years. Today, the study would never be approved in the same form. But its conclusion remains difficult to ignore, because the conditions it revealed still exist. Authority still wears calm faces. Systems still divide responsibility into pieces. Instructions are still framed as procedures, not choices. When authority speaks calmly and responsibility feels shared, most people stop asking where the line is. They assume someone else already decided. Someone higher up. Someone more qualified. Someone wearing the lab coat. And that may be the most unsettling result of all.